Good morning. It is Saturday morning, about 5:30. I've been up answering some emails, and then John and I are going to head into the restaurant here in Orlando. And typically in the restaurant world, especially in the brunch world, Saturday and Sunday are two of your busiest days. So we've got a long day ahead of us, and then on top of that, we're actually moving. We've been staying in a condo, living month to month with month-to-month leases. And so our lease ended up ending in 2 days, and someone else is moving into this. They'd already had it booked. So John and I just found a house that we'll be moving into for the next few months. So it's going to be a busy Saturday. We got to move after this. But in this video, I also wanted to share why I think it's important to document this journey. I've been calling it building in public. And so I want to kind of share that backstory and where that inspiration came from. Today's going to be another busy but great day. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
And welcome back, and welcome back, and welcome back, and welcome back. All right, we just made it in. It is a little bit before 6 a.m. and today's probably gonna be a longer day. Like I mentioned, it is Saturday. Hopefully we'll get out of the restaurant between 5 and 6. So we ended up getting out of the restaurant probably about 4:30. So today was about a 10 and a half hour day, which for a Saturday, honestly, that is one of the quicker ones that we've had. It's not uncommon to be there for 11 or 12 hours on a Saturday. Something I didn't realize going into this, and you guys may not realize, is whenever you're working in a brunch restaurant that primarily focuses on breakfast and lunch, the majority of the sales are going to come from Saturday and Sunday. And so whatever you're doing throughout the week, that will typically account Monday through Friday, that'll typically account for about 50% of your sales, your revenue for the week. And the other 50% comes on Saturday and Sunday. So really big days, takes a lot of work. You have to do a lot of prep, and it is go, go, go while you're in there. It's kind of like a double-edged sword because a lot of customers may complain, it takes forever to get my food, and I'm upset about it, but the food was really good and the experience other than that was great. Or the alternative is you can rush the food out and the customer may get their food really quickly and they got to get seated really quickly and is very convenient, but the food was subpar. And so it's a very delicate balance between the two of those, and just little things like that I'm starting to pick up on and realize now that John and I are having this experience. So the word that I'll use to describe today is definitely interesting. Like I said, we're learning a lot. I'd say another one of the bigger takeaways that I had just from today, and then I'll talk about why I think it's important for me to document this and to build in public, as I've been calling it, is it is really important to have a solid team at the restaurant. And that is maybe not the same folks that you would traditionally think about hiring for other jobs that are more white collar, but to have a good morale in the back of house, which is the kitchen, that's known as the back of house, that can support the front of house, the servers, the waitresses, the bartenders, all of those different team members. They have to work together in a way, and it's really kind of cool to watch it happen. Everyone's flying around. You're in the back of the kitchen, and you've got 12 people sitting at one table, so you're trying to get all 12 orders out at the same time. Each person has 3 or 4 different food options that are coming out on their tray, whether that's the entree with a side, with another side, with you're subbing this out, you're modifying that. And so to watch all of those things happen, people's hands are flying in and out trying to get the plates ready. The analogy that they typically use is like a duck, because if you look at a duck from the outside when they're on the water, they're swimming and gliding across the water in a pretty smooth and even keel. But if you look under the water, you see their feet pedaling super fast, and it's kind of chaotic. And so that is kind of what we strive for in the restaurant world, is to operate like a duck in that capacity. So really cool starting to pick up on those different types of things. Wanted to mention too, if you see what I'm holding here in my right hand, I did go ahead and pick up some Rode Wireless Go mics. I'm testing those out. Hopefully the audio is recording right now. I'm not going to be too happy if it isn't, but things were so hectic that I literally got them in yesterday, unboxed them this morning, and then started trying to record, plugging it in, trying to figure it out as I go. So making the upgrades like I said I would, just need to make sure I know how to actually use the equipment. So we ended up getting out of the restaurant about 4:30-ish and then had to run to Walmart because, like I mentioned this morning before we went into work, we are in the process of moving. We had a nice condo that we were staying at for about 2 months while we were down here in Orlando, and that was just a monthly lease. And so they had another tenant that was supposed to move in for a longer term lease. So we had to scramble to find a new spot and pack up and head out of there. So we've now moved into a house in Orlando, and honestly, it's pretty nice. I'll give you guys a tour in the next video, but it's got a pool, which I'm pretty excited about. Never had a pool like actually at a house that I've lived at before, so that's going to be nice, especially living in Florida when the weather is nice here. Yeah, so I got down at the restaurant about 4:30, went to Walmart. We had to pick up a couple different items. They didn't have bed sheets here. They didn't have toiletries. They didn't have towels or anything like that, so we had to go and grab those items and then come over here. And then I went to the gym. I got a quick chest day in. Wanted to make sure that I was still making time to make fitness a priority. So did a quick workout, chest and abs, and then finished up packing. And here we are. Last thing I'll mention as to why today is an interesting day. Every once in a while I try and do something to get myself out of rhythm, I guess, switch things up. And I realized I've been spending a lot of time on my phone. And that's inevitable in some situations. Other times you're just kind of mindlessly scrolling and wasting time. And so today I made it a point that I kept my phone shut off. I'm not going to use my phone all day. And so today is the end of day, and it was an interesting feeling because there was times where you'd want to go for the phone, check your text, hop on LinkedIn, go check Instagram, and I didn't even bring it into work with me today. And so like I could noticeably tell when I was kind of like, oh, 2 seconds, let me go grab my phone. And noticing that is really odd. I think I want to make it a point in 2024 to try and use my phone less. I think it becomes almost like subconscious how much we're on our phones. And while they're great tools and awesome resources, I want to be a little bit more intentional with my time this year. And that brings me to my final point, kind of talking about what I want to do this year. John and I recorded a podcast talking about our 2024 goals. We did the same thing last year in 2023, and I liked it because we had to publicly share our goals, which is incredibly uncomfortable, but it's good from an accountability standpoint. Putting that stuff out online, and I know a lot of you that listen like to reach out and check in on us, and it's uncomfortable when your goals are on the line and people are asking, hey, are you making progress? How's that going? And it's just kind of like out there, rather than if you were to just write it down in a notebook and never tell anyone. It's just you keeping yourself accountable. No one knows if you're slipping or falling off. So John and I made it a point to do that again this year, and I can make an episode in the future for the YouTube channel about my specific goals for 2024. But one of the big ones that I really wanted to talk again about in this episode, even if you've already listened to the podcast, I talked about this one, I'm going to go even more in depth in it. It's important for me, to myself in 2024, to document this journey that I'm on and do what I'm referring to as building in public. And what that means to me is that I want to share online what I'm actually doing day to day as John and I navigate this new business, as I'm continuing to podcast, as I'm continuing to make fitness a priority, and all those different things that I'm trying to keep juggling those balls as I go. I want to share that. And that's important to me because when I was 16, 17 years old, just kind of getting started with my entrepreneurial journey, I knew that I wanted to do something impactful with my life, and I wasn't really sure what. I had a feeling that business was going to be the route. I was really into basketball growing up. I spent all my spare time in the gym, lifting weights, playing basketball, traveling for AAU. I mean, basketball is how I met John. And when I was about 17 years old, junior year of high school, I kind of realized I think that basketball is going to stay in high school, and after college, I need to go focus on what I'm going to do long term that can have a large impact. And so I turned my eyes to business, and I started trying to learn and read all these self-help books and read autobiographies and listen to all these podcasts. And I remember being so frustrated when I was younger because I knew that I wanted to do something in business. I had so much energy and so much passion for it, but I didn't know where to start. And even more than that, I didn't know who to watch and who I could learn from. Because all of the people online that are 40, 50, 60 years old that have made $100 million, that's great. But they're telling you their story from the point at which they've already been successful. And when you go back and try and remember what you were doing day to day 20, 30, 40 years ago, there's going to be a lot of gray area. You're not going to remember a lot of things. You're going to romanticize a lot of things. And that's awesome. I definitely try and learn from those people. I respect them a lot. And a lot of them have become great mentors for myself. But I think it is different to go from the perspective of someone who's young and just getting started and trying to build something really cool and big in the future. And so that's what I'm trying to do here, That's why I want to build in public in 2024. I want to share what's working for me, and perhaps more importantly, what's not working for me, the actions that I'm taking, what my thought processes are behind them. I'm not saying that anything I'm doing is going to be successful. I mean, there's a large chance I'm not. And again, that's kind of one of the consequences that comes with sharing these things online. But even if it's not successful, I think that there's a lot that can be learned by sharing what I'm doing. And so that if I misstep somewhere, hopefully you can watch and learn not to go that way and to correct off of my mistakes so that you don't have to make them yourself. And so it's an uncomfortable position, but it's one that I'm excited for because I remember how frustrated I was when I was younger. And I just wish there was someone who is closer to my age that I could watch, who is maybe just a couple years or a couple steps ahead of me, that doesn't have it all figured out, but is doing a couple of things that seem to have gotten a couple of results and is on an interesting trajectory, which I would say John and I are with the restaurant situation and the podcast right now. So I'm super excited to build in public in 2024. It is nerve-wracking. I appreciate the support that I've already gotten from people. I put up an Instagram story about it a couple days ago, and a lot of you guys were liking it and swiping up on it and just kind of saying, man, this is awesome. I'm excited to see it. So again, your guys' support always means the world, and I'm excited to make 2024 a great year. As always, thank you guys for tuning in, and you can find me on Instagram at Jacob O'Connor, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.